Who is Julian Assange and why is he on trial in Great Britain? Today we delve into the life of this enigmatic figure. Born in Townsville, Australia, the seeds of his future were sown early. As a teenager, Assange discovered a passion and a talent for hacking, but his was not a path of cybercrime. Instead, he used his skills to expose the truth, fostering a deep-seated interest in journalism. This interest would later evolve into a platform that changed the face of investigative reporting. Julian Assange is not just a journalist. He is the creator of WikiLeaks, a platform that has become synonymous with whistleblowing and transparency. WikiLeaks, under Assange's stewardship, has been at the heart of numerous global controversies, shaking up governments and corporations alike. But Assange is not just a journalist, he is the founder of a platform that shook the world. In 2006, Assange launched WikiLeaks, a platform that would change the way we view government secrecy. This was the birth of a new era in information sharing, a revolution of sorts, a beacon for whistleblowers across the globe. Assange envisioned a world where transparency was the norm, not the exception. WikiLeaks was not just another news outlet, it was a radical shift in journalism. Its mission was clear-cut, to bring important news and information to the public, unfiltered and unaltered. It worked on a simple ideology: open governments, closed doors are the enemies of truth. Operating in the shadows of the internet, WikiLeaks became a safe haven for those who wished to expose hidden truths. It was a platform designed to protect the identity of the whistleblowers, a secure conduit for the flow of sensitive information. The world took notice of WikiLeaks in 2010 when it released a cache of nearly 750,000 classified or otherwise restricted files from the United States Department of Defense. The cache included the infamous collateral murder video, which showed a 2007 airstrike in Baghdad that resulted in the deaths of several civilians, including 2 Reuters journalists. This video sent shockwaves around the globe, sparking debates about war ethics, accountability, and the power of information. It was this very video that thrust Assange into the spotlight, transforming him from an obscure hacker into a world-renowned figure almost overnight. The video was a stark reminder of the power of unfiltered information and the lengths to which governments would go to keep their secrets hidden. But the world was watching, and WikiLeaks had opened the floodgates. The video leak marked the beginning of a new era, an era where secrets could be exposed, where power could be held accountable, where the truth could not be silenced. The 2010 video leak was a turning point for Assange, catapulting him into a whirlwind of controversies. Yet, in the heart of the storm, WikiLeaks stood tall, its mission unwavering, its commitment to truth unshaken. With fame came scrutiny and legal battles. Julian Assange found himself in the eye of a storm when sexual assault allegations were leveled against him in Sweden. This led him to seek asylum at the Ecuadorian embassy in London in 2012. But why the Ecuadorian embassy, you may ask? Well, Ecuador was one of the few countries willing to protect Assange from extradition to the United States, where he faced potential charges relating to his work with WikiLeaks. And so began his 7-year stay at the embassy, a period marked with tension, controversy, and isolation. Living within the confines of the embassy, Assange continued his work with WikiLeaks, undeterred by the world outside. However, his situation was far from ideal. The embassy had limited space, and Assange was confined to a small room, unable to step outside for fear of arrest. The strain of this isolated existence began to show, impacting his health and affecting his relationships with the embassy staff. As the years rolled on, the relationship between Assange and his Ecuadorian hosts began to sour. Many factors contributed to this breakdown. Allegedly, Assange's behavior within the embassy became increasingly difficult. Reports suggested he didn't follow the embassy's house rules, which included cleaning his room and taking care of his pet cat. It is important to note that these claims are not validated, and it is all alleged to have happened. Many pro-Assange activists suspect these were excuses used by the government of Ecuador to turn over Assange in order for the IMF to forget Ecuador's debt. This was never corroborated and is also alleged. These issues, coupled with a shift in Ecuador's political landscape, led to a drastic decision. In 2019, Ecuador's president, Lenin Moreno, decided to revoke Assange's asylum status, citing repeated violations of international conventions and daily life protocols. Suddenly, Assange was thrust back into the world he'd been hiding from. British police arrested him immediately after his expulsion from the embassy, and he was subsequently indicted by the US on charges of conspiracy to commit computer intrusion, this under the Espionage Act of 1917. Assange's expulsion from the embassy led him to his current predicament, on trial in Great Britain. Today he stands as a controversial figure, his actions and the subsequent consequences sparking debates about freedom of speech, journalistic integrity, and the right to information. In 2016, WikiLeaks once again made headlines, this time in relation to the US presidential election. The organization published a series of emails from the Democratic National Committee revealing internal discussions and strategies which were, to put it lightly, not flattering for the Democratic Party. The leak sparked an uproar, leading to accusations of bias and even claims that WikiLeaks was acting as a tool for Russian influence in the election. The source of these emails became a point of fierce debate. Assange maintained that the source was not a state actor, while US intelligence agencies claimed that Russian hackers were behind the leak. The impact of these leaks on the election was substantial, with many arguing that they contributed to the defeat of Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton. Assange's role in this incident further complicated his public image. To some, he was a champion of transparency, exposing the inner workings of a political party. To others, he was a puppet of foreign powers, manipulating public opinion for political gain. The 2016 election controversy added another layer to Assange's complex relationship with the public and the powers that be. It also highlighted the power and influence that WikiLeaks and by extension Assange held over global events. Despite the controversies, Assange has left an undeniable imprint on journalism. His creation, WikiLeaks, has been a game changer for investigative journalism. It provided a platform to expose hidden truths, allowing journalists and whistleblowers worldwide to shine a light on the dark corners of government secrecy, corporate misdeeds, and international intrigue. Assange's work has sparked a global debate on the limits and powers of freedom of information. He championed the idea that transparency is a fundamental right, pushing boundaries and challenging norms. He has forced us to question, how much truth are we entitled to? How much secrecy is necessary for national security? His actions have also triggered discussions on the ethical boundaries of journalism. The WikiLeaks model of radical transparency has been both praised and criticized, but it has undeniably challenged the traditional ways of news dissemination. Whether you view him as a hero or a villain, Assange's impact on journalism is undeniable. As we speak, Assange's story continues to unfold. The saga persists in Great Britain, where he remains on trial. There, the legal debate rages on, his deeds scrutinized, his motivations dissected. For some, he's a beacon of journalistic bravery. For others, a figure shrouded in controversy. Yet, the spotlight remains firmly on Assange, his every move echoing across global headlines. As the world watches, one can't help but wonder, what is the next chapter in Julian Assange's tumultuous life? That's the story of Julian Assange so far, a man whose life has been a whirlwind of controversy and debate, who gave birth to WikiLeaks, forever changing the face of journalism. His ongoing trial in Great Britain continues to captivate the world, raising questions about freedom of speech and the power of truth. Remember to subscribe, like this video, and share it with your friends. Stay tuned for more insights and untold stories. Until then, keep questioning. Let's take a moment now to look at the man himself, Julian Assange, a man who, despite living under the spotlight, has always remained somewhat of an enigma. Through this montage of images and footage, we aim to give you a glimpse into the life of a man who has forever changed the world. From his early days in Australia, his time in Sweden, his years in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, to his current situation in Belmarsh prison. This is Julian Assange, the man behind WikiLeaks, a man whose life has been defined by his unwavering pursuit of truth and transparency. As we look at these images, let's remember that behind every headline, every controversy, every triumph, and every setback is a human being with his own hopes, dreams, fears, and regrets. Julian Assange's story is not about one man. It's about the freedom of information and the power of truth. It's about the collective voice of people from all walks of life who believe in transparency and accountability, from high-profile activists, journalists, and celebrities to everyday individuals who value the truth. The support for Assange is widespread and growing. Let's take a look at some of the global support for Assange. We see protests in major cities, petitions signed by millions, and social media campaigns advocating for his freedom. These voices echo the same sentiment. The fight for Assange is a fight for transparency, for accountability, and ultimately for our own right to know the truth. But what happens if we remain silent? If we let Assange's case slide into the annals of forgotten controversies, we risk setting a dangerous precedent. A precedent where governments can suppress the truth without facing consequences, where whistleblowers are silenced and persecuted. This is a call to action. We urge you, our viewers, to educate yourselves and others about Assange's case. Understand the broader issues at stake. Remember, when we fight for Assange, we fight for our own right to know the truth. As we close this scene, let's remember that our support for Assange isn't just about one man. It's about standing up for the principles of freedom, transparency, and accountability. It's about ensuring that truth remains a right, not a privilege. Please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel.